everybody, welcome to another episode of Classes of Mail. My name is Alan Gigax, and I'm here with Michael Brazenly.
Hi, everyone.
All right, and we are mailmen, and so we got mailbag, and we have questions. And we also have some comments that came in through the email, classesofmail@gmail.com. You are certainly welcome to send those along as well. And there's a couple of things that I want to talk about before we get into the questions. And one is that it's kind of crazy how we all do the exact same job and we all have the exact same M41, but yet things can be really different from one part of the country to the other. I have a buddy who listens to this podcast who, what happened to my volume?
I have no idea.
No, it does seem down a little bit. Hold on a sec, listeners. All right, is that better? Oh, that's better.
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
better. Okay, cool. Oh, yep, that's what happened. Sorry. Okay. All right. So, like, I have a buddy who... Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
now.
you're good.
Okay. So I have a buddy who moved to Idaho from Las Vegas, and he carries the mail up there. And I think he's actually in the same installation as the person who did the theme song for Classes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, and he talked to me about that. Like, dude, when I came up here, I felt like I was a newbie because the procedures are so different and the way management runs things. And so it is important caveat that Michael and I probably don't give often enough that your mileage may vary. You know, there may be things that are different in your installation or even in your station where, you know, you might have different agreements. There might be things in your local memorandum of understanding that make the answer different for you. Or there may be procedures or who knows what. So the answers aren't always universal. And so with that in mind,
if something that we're saying doesn't make any sense in your station, probably maybe because your LMOU or
it might be your station.
Past practice or something is different than everybody else.
But it might be us too, because I've only worked in the Las Vegas installation. Right. And I presume that's the same for you too,
Well, the JCAM language is still the same as the whole nation.
Yeah, the JCAM
it's a matter of how to interpret that language.
Yeah,
it's the word salad they put in the JCAM like as if they're a lawyer.
And that's one of the reasons.
And it's not too clear.
Right. And that's one of the reasons that Michael says, let management make management's argument. Mm-hmm. You know, don't make their argument for them. We're going to take up for the carriers and we're going to use the language to help the carriers. That's why that language was written in the first place.
Right.
And so, we don't want to undo that. All right. So the first is a letter that is more feedback than an actual question, although there's some stuff in here that we can talk about. So this guy writes, this person writes, listening to the latest episode, he means, our last mailbag episode, I'm yelling at the clouds, listening to Michael tell carriers that they can't say no to being mandated after the schedule is posted. Not sure about that. I'm not available is a potential answer. They don't have to submit. All right, so in a way, he's right. Mm-hmm. So to recap the situation, you know, the weekly schedule goes out on Wednesday. And if you're a full-time regular schedule, you already know what your schedule is. Mm-hmm. And if you're not on the overtime list, if you're off Wednesday, you're off Wednesday. But on Tuesday, management comes to you and says, hey, you're mandated to work tomorrow. Now, that's it. That's management's instruction. And we are required to follow instructions.
And literally in the JCAM actually says that too.
That we are required to follow instructions.
And then file a grievance.
File a grievance on the back end. Right.
Back end.
Now, what he's saying is also true.
Yes.
That you can say, I'm not available. And I've done that plenty of times. You've probably done that too.
Yes.
Where, hey, I've already got stuff going on tomorrow. I've got
I got an airline ticket.
I got airline tickets. I got, whatever it is. I ain't coming in.
Or I have an annual leave in conjunction with the time off. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so there may be any number of reasons that you can say no. And I've even said, no, you can go fuck off and not gotten disciplined for it. Mm-hmm. So, what I said was, hey, I ain't coming in. And if you want to discipline me, go ahead. I know you ain't going to fire me. Mm-hmm. And that worked too. And I never got disciplined.
Right.
So this is a good example of your mileage may vary.
And here's the thing too, is if you got a good steward in your office and you said no, well, they're supposed to follow the pecking order.
Yeah.
So if they were not following the pecking order, then if they try to issue discipline, it's not going to go anywhere because
it wasn't
you were breaking another rule.
Yeah, right. It was not a valid instruction. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as a steward, I would try to make the same argument if the ODL isn't maximized.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if all those overtime carriers aren't working 12 hours, or if all the day off people aren't coming in,
then why are you mandating this person?
You should have never mandated in the first place. Right. It's an invalid instruction.
Right. And so, a good steward will fight that argument and you will win, and to get you from saying no to that. So at your station, this person who sent that feedback is that you might have a good steward to fight that. So management will never tell you that, or the carriers knows that. So the carrier tells the management, no, I'm not doing that.
Exactly. All right. And then he goes on to write, and management instructions while employees are off the clock. Nah, that doesn't work. At least here. They can ask, but no means no. So in this situation, like this is a good example of why you don't answer your phone. Mm-hmm. Because you don't even want to have that argument. But I like to use the example when management tries to give you instructions while you're off the clock. They are your supervisor. You're supposed to follow their instructions. But imagine a scenario where you're at the grocery store and you see your supervisor in aisle 3. And your supervisor says, hey, Michael, run over to aisle 8 and grab some beans for me and bring them back here. Do you have to follow that instruction?
No.
No. Because that is not in the context of your working relationship.
Right.
That relationship only exists when you're getting paid. And they can instruct you from 9 to 5, but at 5:01, they stop being your supervisor and they can no longer instruct you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, add more nuance.
Sure.
Because all this shit is nuance.
This is all depends on your branch also, because my branch says that if they call you and get hold of you, and if they tell you to come to work or do this and do that, and we've had situations they'll tell CCAs to go to another station, and the thing is that your phone is your phone.
Yeah.
But our branch says, well, that is instructions. You need to follow that instruction. So at that point, depending on your branch and how they're going to do it, is where that.
There's a lot of this stuff where if your union's not going to back you up, then you're going to have a much harder road.
That's why it's better not to answer the phone.
Right. Just don't answer the phone. Right. Because for me, there's an argument there that I'm not an on-call employee. You can call me all you want, but that ain't my job to be on call. You want me to be on call, you got to pay me for that.
And then when you don't answer, management will text you.
Right.
Okay. And at that point, it's like, well, my phone was turned off, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't. Yeah. Text me all you want. I'm still not responding.
Yeah.
All right. And so speaking of, the union's got to have your back. You've got to have those settlements. This emailer goes on. And scanning after 1300 in the station, see the Buffalo, New York arbitration. I don't care about management's internal failure notes. It's enabling intellectually lazy supervision and pigeonholing carriers, resulting in unnecessary double handling of parcels, etc. So we already mentioned this on a previous episode, but we had recorded that episode before the Buffalo. Sometimes these episodes sit for a while because we got so much other stuff coming out. Who knows?
After we did that, you had 3 or 4 interviews.
Yeah,
so you're putting that up
all
first.
All that's got to come up. Right. Yeah. So just like for your own reference, we're recording this September 4th, 2025. And I think I have 7 episodes in the can right now and more on the way. And so, who knows when this episode's actually going to publish?
See, what we try to do is that I live over 30 minutes away from Alan's house.
Yeah.
And so whenever I get here, we try to do 2, 3, 4 episodes so that
to make it worth his while to drive over here.
Yep.
Right, exactly. So who knows when but when we recorded that, when that Buffalo result had not come out yet, and we err on the side of prudence. You know, that remember, this podcast is aimed at carriers, not at stewards. And as a carrier, if your supervisor gives you an instruction, generally, unless you have a good reason not to, you're going to follow that instruction. That's your safest path. And regarding this decision, because David Groskopf came onto the podcast and talked about that decision is still for Buffalo, New York. And Michael, if you file if we have that issue come up here in Las Vegas, can we cite that decision out of Buffalo, New York in our grievance?
We can use it as a tool.
Right, for persuasive value. Mm-hmm. But that's weird. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, but calls are still getting through. All right, anyway, we can use it for persuasive value, but it doesn't hold precedent. It's not binding here.
So most of the arbitration settlement, when it comes to class action, they'll put on their Buffalo installation, Las Vegas installation, and they'll do that. Now, if it says all post office, then arbitrations, that agreement is for all post office. Then usually when it's for all post office,
document or
they'll end up being in our contract.
Right.
Because it says all post office or a memorandum.
Yeah, so that's the deal with that. We didn't have that information at that time, but even so, like, dude, David Grosskopf said when he was on here that in the Tonawanda installation, I think it was, there was a lot of carriers getting disciplined for this, and so you run that risk, right? If management tells you something, you're not doing it, you run that risk.
Yes.
Now they have to go back and undo all that discipline, but in the meantime, you got discipline. Right.
Yes.
And so there are practical considerations. I mean, obviously, David Grosskopf is correct. And this emailer is correct. That, yeah, that's management's bullshit. That's not in the M41. I don't have to do that. And I want the listeners of Classes of Mail to be empowered to that level. And that's why we keep having episodes. And that's why we all keep learning. All right. And then... that's it. And then he recaps something about the 3849. All right. So that's that one. Now, ready for the next question?
Sure.
Okay. This one comes in two parts. This listener writes, the COA update feature disappears from the scanner.
COA is change of address.
Change of address. That's right. And it's a feature on your scanner that in the main menu, you can scroll down and you can see this option, COA update. And it will, if you scan an intelligent mail barcode that's on the front of your mail piece, it'll look up to see if there's a change of address on file for that person. And it'll sometimes let you make changes to that change of address as well, which is a really nice feature. As this person writes, they go on, it disappears from the scanner after 1 hour from clock in. I find the COA update feature very helpful on the route. National says that this is an office function, and that's why it disappears after the 1 hour. My questions are, one, what would be the process to try and get this feature available all day on the scanner? So let's address this one first. We don't have the ability, like, that's not up to us.
Right.
So, management owns the scanners. Management programs the scanners.
As you know, as a regular, when
Yep.
there's a change of address, we get that sticker that says,
Right,
hey,
the
this person moved.
3982.
Okay.
Yep.
And so if you use those pink cards, you use that to update your forward and so forth so that other people can look at your pink cards and see
Right.
if there was a forward or not.
Right.
That's the part that we use. I mean, in reality, what you're talking about on the scanner, nobody's told anything about it. So that is just a special feature they put on there for you to use.
Right.
But it was not in any handbooks and manuals.
It is not. And it's not
Okay.
like management ever gave us, classes on it or instructed us on
Right.
it in the first place. So for something like that to be incorporated as part of our routine, as part of our day or whatever, it has to go through a process by which management and the union agree. And that's done
On Article 5, a unilateral decision has been written and it go into contract or memorandum of some kind.
Right, right. And this kind of falls under the purview of the director of city delivery, which going forward after the next election, hopefully is Rob Cozier. So, right now it's...
Any idea what's going to happen to Chris Jackson then? Do you know?
I assume he's going to retire. I don't know. Chris Jackson, right, is currently the director of city delivery. And this would be an excellent question.
And he did a great job before Brian Renfro did
took
whatever
away
he
his
did.
responsibilities. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got no issues with Chris Jackson, right? And, according to... dude, I can't remember anybody's name. The business agent who's running for Mike Cariff. That Chris Jackson was like the first person to start standing up to Ryan Renfro. And so, yeah, credit where credit is due. But anyway, this would be a good question to direct to him because that falls right under his purview. It's like the actual procedures that we use for delivering the mail.
Yeah. And here's the thing is the updating the forwards and things like that, that is actually a clerk function. So there could be something where
some parts of it may be,
possibly
some may not.
A clerks could have filed a grievance and they might have taken it away.
Because it took them out of the loop. Because like we fill out like the 3546, the correction to the change of address, and then that goes somewhere and it's handled by presumably a clerk.
Right.
And so if this ices them out of that process, maybe that's the issue. I really don't know.
Yeah, I've seen clerks file grievances because we're doing their job, so they can get that back.
Yeah,
but there's
for sure.
a bunch of other stuff that we're doing they can get back, and then they're not doing that.
Yeah, like spreading DPS as an example.
What do you mean spraying DPS?
Like they're supposed to spread it to the case, right?
No.
Oh, no. It's outside. Yeah, never
it's
mind.
Supposed to be spread outside.
Yeah, because that's not a...
What they're spreading not spreading
The
inside
spurs.
is the
Is it the
spurs and flats.
Right, the flat distribution.
They used to
walk
walk and put the flats at our what do we call it? The battleship?
Oh, there's a flat
coffin.
distribution.
Yeah,
Right,
they used to put it in our
the
coffin.
Oh, dude, my
And
buddy who went to
They don't do that anymore.
Idaho, he said they don't call it the coffin. It's the flat stacker bin that's on. It's technically called the flat stacker bin on the side of your case. But he said they had some weird name for it up there. I forget what it was.
Everybody has a different name, just like relays, auxiliary assistance, to handoff. Everybody uses different names for all these things that we have in the post office.
Yeah, hey, when you meet a letter carrier from some other part of the country, that's always a fun thing to ask them. Is like, what do they call auxiliary assistance? You know, the most common seems to be pivot.
He says pivot, but if you look at the M41, it says relay.
It does, but it also refers to handoffs, like when doing route adjustments. Like it says that if it's permanent, that your route's being adjusted, but it's just adjusted by giving away a portion of your territory every day. The portion you give away is called a handoff in the M39. And so, yeah, all this stuff comes from somewhere. But I like, anyway.
Yeah, so when the clerks, they could be filing grievances, and when some things get changed or different, that's probably because clerks filed a grievance on it.
It could be. Yep. All right, so that's question number one. The answer to that is we don't know.
Yeah.
Question number two. What ways do you use to keep track of forwards on the street? I have many apartments on my route, and typically people move in and out without doing a change of address.
Well, I do not have an apartment on my route.
Right. But you have centralized delivery.
But I do know what I do because I have a central CBUs.
Yeah.
Okay. And to keep the forwards in track, I put it on the label with the red marker saying, F for forwards or individual forward.
The address label that we put inside the boxes.
And so forwards for like a family, then let's say the last name is Wilson, then I'll put it as Wilson. If it's an individual forward, then I'll put Wilson S.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Because I don't want to usually use the full name. I just need one initial of that person.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I did the exact same thing when I had an apartment route, or I had an apartment complex, is all my boxes were labeled. And I have to imagine that everywhere in the country labels the same way. But dude, who knows with what we're talking about? So what we use are the plastic sleeves that come on the end of your trays, on like your DPS trays. There's the plastic sleeve that the tray tag is inside.
Yep.
So you can get those plastic sleeves and you stick those inside the mailboxes, and then the tray tag, you flip it over and it's blank and you can write on it. And it's got that dividing line on it too.
After so many DPS trays you've gotten, you can have a whole stack of those things.
Yeah, they're in infinite supply. Right, exactly. And the tray tags, or the tray sleeves rather, the tag sleeves, you should be able to get those in supplies like from your supervisor.
And you know what the funny part is that if your clerks are ordering supplies correctly, you can actually get those cards that goes inside that sleeve.
Oh, there you go.
Nice
and I know
card.
there's blank ones that are available too that don't have the black line.
Yeah.
So for me, I like the black line because what I did at my apartment complex is the black line would go toward the bottom. So you got 2/3 on the top, 1/3 on the bottom.
Actually, I put it on top.
How dare you? That's so crazy. What are you, Australian?
All right. Again, see, there's no set way.
Yeah, there's no set way, right? But I liked my boxes to be extremely uniform because I want it to be as easy as possible when I'm delivering the mail.
See, the reason I didn't have the black line on the bottom because I like to have the last name of the person on the bottom so I can see their name better.
I do the opposite. Yeah. So, all right. So on mine, I put in the lower left corner in black ink, I put the apartment number. And then in the big space in blue ink on the top, the 2/3 on the top, I put the names and I just put the last name. Or if I don't have names, I'll put deliver all names.
But out of this, I guess you can see Alan and I both do things completely different.
I haven't got to mine.
But it is the carrier's responsive to how to manage your route the way you want. That works the best for you.
So he's asking how we do it. Let me finish saying how I do it. So then under the black line in red ink, and I use retractable Sharpies for this.
I have Sharpie
because
too.
I like it to be nice and bold and easy to read. In red ink or in red Sharpie, I'll write just like Michael, F and then the name, or IF for individual forward, and then the name and the first initial. And that's it. And then I'll also put the expiration, and then every so often.
Yeah, I do that too. I put the expiration date too.
And then every so often I go through and I update the tags.
Yeah. So what I do is I get those stickers in the morning.
And the 3982 labels?
Yeah.
The
Well, there
forward
doesn't say
change of
form name.
address?
You just get the sticker.
It's called a
Yeah.
3982.
But I'm just saying
Yeah.
you get the sticker. It doesn't say
Yeah.
3982. Nobody
The
would know
forward
that.
sticker, right.
So I'm talking about all
I
these
know,
carriers
yeah.
who don't know what that is.
But dude, when you
okay?
just say I get the sticker,
Uh-huh.
all right, go on.
You get the forward stickers, okay?
Okay.
So the forward sticker, I get it,
Yeah.
and I'll write up on that
I get
label.
Pokemon stickers.
and then I get out there,
Yeah.
and I find out that they already marked the name or something or
Right.
whatever, and then I'll fold that in half, so that it only has the forward on the top, and it goes on top of the label. Because I like
Okay.
to use those nice cards.
Oh,
And
okay.
so when their ear is up, I just pull that tag and put them in the U-boat.
There you go. All right. Yeah, that's reasonable. So the other thing is when a unit is vacant, I know the carrier didn't ask about this, the questioner,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll take that card out from the apartment
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll recreate the card where I'll put the apartment number down in the lower left. I'll put the forward or whatever. And then in red, in the name field, I write vacant. And so the idea is that in a fraction of a second, at a glance, it's really obvious what's vacant and what's not. I'm going to digress here because I got something that drives me crazy. Carriers will complain. I'll tell you what drives regular carriers crazy is when subs put mail in a box that's vacant. Well, what drives...
Let me tell you how I put vacant.
All right, and then we'll get
Okay?
back to it. Okay.
Yeah. I have green cards that says vacant and put in all the names
Oh,
of
yeah,
people.
those are postal issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a postal issue
Yeah.
one.
It's
And I
great.
write on the top,
Uh-huh.
I write no name, no mail.
Sure, so you don't start delivering until they fill out that card.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then around the box, I'll find the biggest rock that I can find.
Okay.
And then I put it on top of the card.
Sure, so it doesn't blow out or get taken
Right.
out or whatever.
And so you
Yeah.
cannot mistake the rock.
Right.
Okay. And you know what the worst part is? When those CCAs or somebody
Yeah,
else do
sure.
the relief, they'll
Yeah.
put the mail on top of that rock.
Yes, they will. Yeah, and so that's, and I've seen even worse than that. Like because you can also get postal issue box blockers, either cardboard or plastic, that will cover a vacant box. And I've seen people pull it out, put the mail in there, and put the blocker back in. Like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
When I was a CCA,
Yeah.
and I had an opt on a lady who was out for medical for like a year, and so instead of using the blocker, I would just use the vacation hold card and block it and write vacant on it and tape it up so you cannot put anything in it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
And so my T6 thought it would be fun to knock them all over. He knocked them all out. I'm like, why would you do that?
Dude,
I
why
blocked
would you
it so
do
nobody
that?
can put mail in it.
Yeah. That's
So, and
annoying.
then your T6 does it. You're like, oh,
Right.
so it's not just CCAs.
All right, so let me go to the other side of that, though. From the CCA perspective, what I find incredibly annoying is when the regular carrier won't do the things that you and I were just talking about. What they'll do instead is like they'll take that tray tag and they'll just flip it upside down so that now like the DPS side is showing and they'll be like, oh, that means it's vacant. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, because I don't know other people like CC
I don't
don't know what that
means
means.
to you. Exactly. So, dude, you come back and there's mail in that box. That's on you.
Yeah.
Or I've heard of carriers saying like, "Oh, I put a rock in the box of any like just pick up a rock off the ground, put it in the box, and that means it's vacant." Like, dude, how are people supposed to know that? Get out.
So
get out of here with
this
that.
is something for CCAs. If you see your regular doing whatever it is doing, and you see a forward on there,
Right.
And what I would do is maybe write F on the letter saying it's a forward, so that when you're organizing the mail, or you have organization thing in your truck already, so you can
Yeah.
split the mail for forward A and Ks and
Sculch tray,
and,
it's called. Yeah.
unable to forward to whatever. You can sort the mail that way, so if you have that, do it that
Dude,
way.
now we're going to get a
Otherwise-
letter about that because technically that's an office function, and you should bring all that mail back in a big pile.
Well,
anyway.
technically, you're supposed to manage it throughout the day.
Yeah, I know. Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
At least I gave it lip service.
Okay. and if you really don't know how to do all of that,
Yep.
just rubber band it up and leave it for your regular to work on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would
Yeah.
much rather have cleanup that I have to go through when I get back from a day off, rather than
Instead
have
of putting
things-
all that mail on top of a vacant card
Yeah,
or and so
yeah,
forth,
exactly.
that annoys the carriers more than
Right.
bringing it back.
So there was a second part to this question because we covered how we handle forwards. And then at the end of the question, the listener writes, and typically people move in and out without doing a change of address. So that's a different issue. That one is where you have to manage the route, like staying on top of what's vacant and what's not. And an apartment complex is generally pretty easy because you just talk to the property manager, go in every couple of weeks. You can ask them for a roster of the names of everybody who lives there. But the important thing is that they tell you which units are vacant. So when a unit is vacant, this is actual proper procedure. You're supposed to take that mail out and you're going to hold it at the post office for 10 days. You don't deliver any more mail, and you do what's called an HFO, a hold for forward order. And in that 10 days, you're waiting to see if this person is going to put in a change of address. During that 10 days, one of two things is going to happen. Well, they're either going to put in a forward or they're not. If they do put in a forward, and by the way, you're going to hold all their mail, not just the preferential mail. You hold all their mail. At the end of that, if the forward comes in, then now what you're going to do is all the preferential mail, first class, priority, all
Second
all that
class.
stuff. Yeah, all
Except
that
for
stuff,
pre-sort.
periodicals. Yeah, all the, right. You're going to forward all that mail, right, according to the forward, and then everything else gets thrown into the UBOM. If they never put in a forward, then now that HFO, all that mail becomes unclaimed. And you're going to return it to sender as unclaimed.
Except for pre-sort.
Except
which
for the
goes in
standard,
U-
which goes
go
into the UBOM. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Standard, nonprofit, marketing, bound, print, and matter. Those all go into the UBOM. Everything else gets returned as unclaimed. And then, or you can return it as attempted not known or whatever. I prefer unclaimed in that specific situation because you've been holding it. Then you're going to use the PS Form 3575Z, the move left no address. And this also used to be on the scanner, and I loved it.
And we called it MLNA.
MLNA, move left no address. And that lets our PARS system know, the Postal Automated Redirection System. Dude, this is all covered in a very early episode of Classes of Mail, PARS, CFS, and MLNA, or something like that, CFS, PARS, and that tells you how the system works. But you mark it as move left no address. You get that 3575Z. You're going to put their address in there, their name and their address. You mark it move left no address. And then when that goes into the system, this might actually still be on the scanner. I don't know. Anyway, when that goes into the system, now the automated system that automatically forwards people's mail is going to automatically return to sender those people's mail, and it never even comes to you anymore. It stops showing up. This is also a really good solution when you're, and this is covered in that episode, that when you're out on the street and somebody says like, hey, I keep getting mail for Jackson, and there's nobody by that name here. They haven't lived here in years. Is there a way that I can stop it? Yeah, there is. You as the carrier can use that 3575Z, put the name Jackson on there, and that mail is all going to get returned to sender. So that's how you handle when people move out and don't put in a forward.
Now, this is something that I did not know about.
Okay.
And so this is knowledge that Alan knows, which is great.
Oh, you're talking about the move left no address
Yeah.
thing? Yeah, dude, it's
Okay.
an awesome...
Because
Wait,
that-
you didn't go back and listen to the back catalog of Classes of Mail?
I did not. Yeah. I don't have the time to listen to every episode.
Yeah. I mean,
so-
there's coming up on 200 episodes.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
have
lot.
time for all this.
All right,
I
pop-
try to pick and choose going through.
Yeah,
and-
understandable.
But mainly, I've
Yeah,
been
that's
listening
fine.
to for the last year and a half, 2
8
years worth.
arbitration. Yeah. Hey, so
Because I listened from 8
let
arbitration,
me put
too,
you
which
on the
is
spot.
over an hour.
This will be
Yeah.
fun. Question from the mailbag, because I just said them.
Mm-hmm.
What are the 4 classes of mail that can go into the UBOM?
Well, 4 classes of mail.
There are 4 classes of mail.
Well,
that
I
can
know
go
there's
into the
pre-sort
UBOM.
standard,
Standard is one. Yeah, the
Okay.
pre-sort doesn't really mean anything, but the standard is one.
standard mail.
Okay, what
Okay.
else?
It actually says pre-sort standard in some of them.
It does. Most of them it does. But yeah, standard
and
is the
standard mail.
Because you can have pre-sorted first
Nonprofit.
class. Nonprofit, that's 2. Okay, so we got standard and nonprofit.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. The EDDM.
That's usually that's standard, but it does come in another class from time to time. That is one of the other classes that can go in.
Yeah.
But you don't.
But there's no. I don't remember the name of it.
It starts with an M. Mar. Come on. Marketing man.
Marketing mail. That's
There
the
you
EDDM that I'm thinking of.
Usually,
marketing
oftentimes
mail.
it comes marketing.
Yeah,
Standard,
like advos.
nonprofit, marketing.
Like advos or
Yep.
marketing.
And then
mail.
you don't. What's the other one?
I don't know.
Like the Uline catalogs.
Yeah, but those are
What class of mail are those?
Those are standard.
They're not.
They're not.
No, if they're thick enough, they go to another class. bound printed matter.
Oh, bound print. Oh.
Yeah, that's also Ubum. See, guys, this is why you need classes of mail. Episode 1 was Ubum. Michael, you got to go back and listen to that episode. Get your act together.
I have to scroll all the way down there.
But, dude,
because it doesn't show up in sequence. You have to go
well, you can always sort the other direction if it's on Spotify. But either way. So this is why this stuff is important, though, because what if you wind up putting stuff into the Ubum that doesn't belong? Or vice versa. I mean, you would err on the side of caution. Don't put it in unless you're sure.
I was a clerk, so I know what to look for in the Ubum.
Yeah.
What goes in and
you
out.
don't know
So
what
it made it
classes,
easy.
apparently.
I knew which ones were bound mail, because bound mail,
Yeah.
even though it says that you know that that's pre-sold.
Oh, dude, you can recognize the Uline catalog from across the
Anybody knows
parking lot.
Uline. Oh, it doesn't match. It goes right in the Ubum.
It goes into the Ubum, right, exactly. But every once in a while, it'll have like change service.
Yeah,
or,
and if it's a
something
change
like that.
service, then
something service requested, then it
Yeah.
can't go in.
Yeah.
Yep. Like the damn Granger catalogs, those are all bound printed matter.
I
Right,
haven't
they'll
seen
have a
them in a while,
barcode on
actually.
them. Yeah, I haven't either. They'll have a barcode on them. They come in a box, but they're bound printed matter. So if it's undeliverable, you got to scan that barcode and mark it as number 3, return to sender, and then whatever the reason is, and then it goes into the Ubum. Although often those will have some kind of ancillary service on them, electronic or address service or whatever.
And here's another one: is nonprofit mail.
Yeah.
What if it's got money in it?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. Dude, and this hits right onto that theme of local procedures. Because here, what we do is write Ubum on it, and then I go hand that to my supervisor.
That's what I do.
Supervisor opens it up. They take out that item of value. And it's not just cash or coins. There could be a stamp in there.
Yes.
Anything that has obvious value. You're going to take it, give it to your supervisor. They're going to take that out. Hopefully they put it in the donut fund. And then you put the remainder into the Ubum.
Yes.
Yeah, and in fact, you'll see in some old stations or old equipment that the Ubum bucket actually has the letters NOV on it, November Oscar Victor. And that stands for no obvious value. And that's what that used to be, NOV mail. Now it's Ubum. But yeah, dude, that's a good call, Michael. All right, I think we should leave it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we covered stuff. We covered stuff we didn't intend to cover.
Yeah, there you go.
By all means, if you got questions, you got comments, classesofmail@gmail.com. Guys, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you all next time.